Hello! Modern action. Kind of done with standard for now, at least until Armand kept. Um, I enjoyed playing Team of Tower, but I think it's kind of... My fun with that format has run its course. So kind of bouncing back to Modern, which is my favourite Magic format by quite a way, and hopefully going to put out quite a few Modern videos. We're going to start off with what is my go-to Modern deck. This Modern deck I've played the most. And generally if I'm playing in a big tournament I'll default back to this, and that's Merfolk. If you hadn't guessed from all the Merfolk on the screen, this is pretty much verbatim the deck that did well, came second at a Grand Prix recently. I think it was Grand Prix Dallas. So that's this version of the deck. It's not that dissimilar from most Merfolk builds, but there's a couple of differences to that list from normal Merfolk lists. The first one is there's no Minamo, School at Water's Edge, which is basically a legendary land similar to Aboro, whereas Aboro has use in being able to tap for blue, and then you can return it to its hand. So what you can do with Aboro is a trick where you can tap your Mutavault to return a Boro, having already tapped it for blue, then replay the Boro and then get another blue, in case you need extra blue mana. Minamo is a little bit more narrow. It's 1 blue to untap a legendary permanent. I've played a lot of Merfolk. It's never come up. Because the only legendary permanents you tend to play are Kira, in which case you get countered. I believe it just counters it. I've never actually tried it. And you could untap a Boro, but I'm not sure to what end. There is potentially some use in this build, because you could use it to untap Vendilion Click. But I still don't like Minamo. I think it just makes you more vulnerable to Blood Moon. For very little gain. It's one of the theories behind running Minamo and a Boro has always been that when Merfolk's been popular, people have run Choke, which is an enchantment that means islands don't untap, or Boil, which just destroys all islands, which tends to destroy Merfolk's mana base completely. Those decks have pretty much vanished from sideboards. I can't remember the last time I even saw a list on any website that was running Choke or Boil in the sideboard. I could see going back to Minamo if Merfolk became the most popular deck in the format and people began to start targeting it in sideboards, but otherwise I don't really think it's worth it. So in that place I play a third Cavern of Souls, because Cavern comes up a lot. Any blue deck, any control deck that's running counter spells, Cavern is an absolute all-star, so I'd much rather have that than the Minamo. The other differences is I run Vapor Snag over Dismember, especially in response to a lot of Death Shadow Zoo and Burn popping up. I don't like paying the extra 4 life against aggro decks. It tends to not be worth it. And I think in those matchups you try and play a bit more of a tempo game and try and always race. And Vapor Snag can be quite crucial, especially against Death Shadow, because returning a Goblin Guide isn't great because of the haste, but missing out on taking a hit from Death Shadow or a Tarmogoyf can be actually quite important. The other big difference is Vendilion Click. This is kind of a new thing to Merfolk lists, at least in the last few months. It may have been around before, but I've certainly never played it, which is just like a good catch-all against combo decks. I don't feel I have to sell Vendilion Click too much. It's just a very good card, especially when combo's prevalent. This can really disrupt some opponents. And it gives us a bit more insurance there, because this kind of takes the place of Spell Pierce, which was the go-to to combo decks, but kind of was a terrible draw against other decks. And also a miserable late-game draw, is Click. A lot more versatility, actually affects the board. It's also, having 3 caverns makes this somewhat easier to cast as well, because although you'll probably never name Fairy, you can name Wizard. Because Curse Catchers is a wizard, Silvergill Adept's a wizard, the Lords aren't, but Harbinger is, Tiebinder is, and Master of Waves is. So you can actually name Wizard off your cavern and not really screw yourself over on casting your other Merfolk. So that's the list I'm running at the moment. The sideboard's a bit different. Some people run 4 Seas Claim. This runs 4 Tectonic Edge. It just straight up destroys a land. Um, this can be important against decks like Tron or Jund, where they can get away from your spreading seas by using Ugin or something like Maelstrom Pulse. So just straight up removing land is quite important. This also has a good answer that's uncounterable. One tricky matchup can be Jeskai Control decks, and Celestial Carnage does become a problem because unless you seize it early, it tends to... Most players will probably counter your Spreading Seas on a Colonnade. Relics are there against graveyard decks of all varieties. Relics like one of those sideboard cards I'd play in almost any deck at this point. Dispel, handy against control decks. You'll just find a lot of uses for Dispel. 2 Tiebinders, very good against Burn, okay against Jund, and other stuff with red and green. And 4 Unified Will. Unified Will, you tend to have more creatures than your opponent. This is very good against combo decks and Tron because they very rarely run creatures, or at least if they've got more creatures than you, you've probably already lost at that point. Okay, win the dice roll. This hand is a little unexciting, but I'll keep it. This is one of these hands where we can name Wizard, because we've got plenty of blue. And while we might want to encounter a regular, I think we're fine. I will keep this hand. As I said, it's a little inspiring. Probably try and play out the Cavern last. Sometimes you just want to hide it in case your opponent plans around being able to counter something, and then you play the Cavern. There's no point hiding it for purposes of, well, they won't think I'm Merfolk, because most of the time they're going to put you on it. Darkslick Shore's Serum Vision, so that makes me think Ad Nauseam straight off the bat. Darkslick's, it might not be, but Darkslick is one of those lands you only really see in Ad Nauseam, it feels like. And then going straight into Serum Visions as well. So Vendilion Click could come in handy. Curse Catcher also quite handy in this kind of matchup. It can just be quite annoying for them. They also went top, which is probably not a great sign. We could Spreading Seas here. There's nothing they'll probably use Black for too early. But at the same time, if it is Ad Nauseam, they will kind of get out of colour screw with Pentad Prisms and Lotus Bloom. So I'd rather just use the mana here and draw a card, because we might want to curve out with Regulary. We'll almost certainly want to Vendilion Click next turn as well. So I'm going to put that stop on my opponent's turn in their draw step for next turn. So another Serum Visions. And the thing is, we could have held off on the seas to get something like a Blackleaf Cliffs, but it just feels like with Ad Nauseam they tend to get away from that kind of start quite a lot. It's also possible this isn't Ad Nauseam. I'd be very surprised. Could hold off on the Vendilion Click here. Could hold off on the click. They haven't had a Lotus Bloom, they haven't had the early Pentad Prism, so it's unlikely they can combo off. Whereas we could try and get them with the click next turn. Curse Catcher also slowing them down. And here we could play a Regulary. They'll be on 4 lands next turn. We play a Silvergill, and that will allow us to untap for Clique on the next turn, if I figured it out right. Also going to use a Mutavault here in case we want to get in that extra attack. But one of the things against combo decks is it can help to kind of go at them quite early. You want to put them under pressure so they have to make risky plays, especially with Ad Nauseam. If they don't have the perfect hand sculpted yet, then you can force them into some risky moves. It tends to be to your advantage. I should have taken the stop off because I put the stop on. I've pretty much just told my opponent I have a Vendilion Click in hand. So, oops. Let's see what our opponent does here. Again, I'd still theorizing Ad Nauseam here. Collective Brutality. I'm not going to try and Curse Catcher that for an extra for an extra mana spent by them. They discard an island. They're also gonna try and get the instant or sorcery discard, but that's not gonna work. They will know our hand, so they know the click is coming. They're still not particularly well set up here. And they've slowed us down a bit, which is a downside. But again, I am feeling ad nauseum here. It's possible I'm going too all in on that perception, but I'm struggling to think what else this would be. It could be some sort of control deck, but control decks don't tend to run Blackleaf Cliffs, I find. Because, I mean, actually, to be fair, this also could be Goryo's Vengeance, maybe. I don't know if Goryo's would play a Blackleaf Kiss, but I could say Goryo's having a Dark Six Shores and a Collective Brutality because they want the fast lands. If it is Goryo's, could they go Faithless Looting and Goryo's us out? They probably could. Okay. In that case, I'm going to name Wizard here, and then I am going to clique my opponent on their upkeep, just to kind of see what we're up against. Because if it is Goryo's, they couldn't, in theory, go Faithless Looting and Goryo's out something, and we wouldn't really have an answer. The Collective Brutality for this makes me think they are like desperately trying to avoid a counterspell on something, so maybe it's an indication they could go off this turn. So clique targeting our opponent. See if they have any responses. It looks silly if it isn't ad nauseum or Goryo's Vengeance. Okay, so this is one of the Fuse Goryo's variants. So what we got? We got a Blood Crypt, which we can't take. A Simian Spirit Guide, which can... I mean, they're going to have the mana to pay for a Curse Catcher anyway, so that's kind of irrelevant. Carry Zev's Expertise. That's what allows them to cast Breaking Entering. So basically, Carry Zev's Expertise, this deck is somewhat new, allows you to pay the fuse cost of this for free because Breaking is CMC2. They'll dump 8 cards into their graveyard and then probably likely hit Emrakul or Grizzlebrand off that. There's also an Izzet Charm here, which you can use to draw discard. I'm not sure which is better to take out of the Expertise or the Breaking Entering. I guess the Expertise can enable the fuse cards. I mean, it's very unlikely they'll be able to cast Entering. Well, they're only 2 mana off it. So this kind of says, like, if I take this, the Expertise is kind of useless unless they draw another one. So basically it's like what they're more likely to draw. And I think they play 4 of both. So I'm going to take Carry Zev's Expertise, because we've got more chance of stopping Entering, I think. Also, I don't really want them to... Maybe they've got... no, I can't think of any sacrifice shenanigans. I'll take the Expertise, so of note, Izzet Charm, then Breaking Entering. So that Izzet Charm is probably going to kill this Vendilion Clique now. So there's the Blood Crypt tapped, so they didn't find. Curse Catcher is less impressive than it normally be. The second Curse Catcher is not bad though. And that means we've basically got... we tax them quite well. So I'm going to play that Curse Catcher out and then attack. It'd be interesting to see if they then Izzet Charm the other Curse Catcher. Okay, they're going to take out the Clique to try and slow us down. It's possible I could have just attacked there first, but... I kind of want to make... I mean, I'm happy for them to do that, because they've used the Izzet Charm up and we get to have this on board, which can actually be quite annoying for them. Possible issue with doing that is that really what I should have done was cast Silvergill first, because now we have no reveal for the second Silvergill. Master of Waves helps. I don't think we can bluff having a counterspell here, so let's just put the pressure on them to find something. Ether Vial's a bit late. I can take that stop off now. So they drew a land for 1. So they still need a discard outlet. So they've got the breaking side of breaking entering as a discard outlet, and then they actually need like a Goryo's, and they also need to hit off the breaking. So I quite like putting them under pressure here. We'll attack for 6 next turn, more if we find a Lord. Spreading Seas is not horrible. I could play Master of Waves out, because Master of Waves basically will get 6 elementals, and that will basically demand an answer straight away. So that means we can't activate the Mutavault, but I will attack with everything here in this case. Don't really think there's any benefit to Spreading Seas and anything. We can't really take them off a colour. So I guess we play the Master of Waves and hope they don't combo us out. Because this deck does not really run removal. It runs Collective Brutality. I mean, they could use it to take out this, but it looks like I didn't find it. Okay, so I'm a fan of taking Master of Waves out here, because really this is more about controlling what they do, rather than like kind of grinding them out. So to that end, I'm going to take these out. I'm going to take... I mean, Vapor Snag's a potential one to keep in, I'm not sure. This Tiebinder Mage comes out too, for sure. The relics seem like easy includes. I also like bringing in Dispels, because Dispel hits Goryo's Vengeance. It will also hit through the Breach, if they're running that. The other thing this hits is, it's not uncommon. I would expect the opponent to bring counterspells of their own. Harbinger stays in because it's quite good if they decide to like through the breach, or like if they need to like win with an attack with something like a Grizzlebrand. This can bounce it and force them to not get that lifelink. It kind of puts them under more pressure to find a win. Especially because like the expertise versions don't run, or generally don't run like Bald Berigmus or anything like that as the win con. This is literally trying to kill you with damage, most likely Emrakul. So actually having that ability to bounce is quite nice. So yeah, this isn't like, it's not like Chris Shoalbrand where they've got Nourishing Shoal and Willspine and all that. It's proper just like, I'm going to kill you in one turn with an Emrakul. I'm going to take the Mirror out. Again, they're a bit too slow, and we just want to try and control them. Unified Will should be pretty good against them. I also want more counterspells, because I would expect them to have Yeheni's Expertise, which is another, like the Karizev's Expertise, it allows them to cost the Fuse cards very cheap, and it's also very good against us. I think I'll take out on the draw a single Spreading Seas for the 4th Unified Will. I'm not sure about that. This is a new one for me, because like, normal Grishol brand's a bit easy to think about. This is a bit different with all the expertises, and the fact they actually play Rafts, and there's a lot more stuff to counter here. This is a pretty uninspiring hand, but it does kind of mess with them a lot, and their plan's a lot more linear than ours, and I kind of feel that we can draw out of it and kind of control them with the Relic. They would basically have to find everything twice, so I'm going to keep this, because this can really mess with them. They keep a hand that's like designed to come off in one turn. We can use the Relic to control that. And keep our mana up. Same with Vapor Vial. The fact we have no threats is kind of painful. But maybe this is not the kind of hand to keep, but I kind of prefer being able to turn off what they do, in lieu of making sure we can do what we can. So there's turn 1 Tarn. Question is it Faithless Looting or Serum Visions? Serum Visions. That's quite nice. They're going to go top, top. So the reason that's nice for us is Faithless Looting will just dump more stuff into the yard straight away. I'm questioning to myself. It also means I don't think they have a turn 2 kill. Unless they have well, they could have Soon Spirit Guide. Because part of me is thinking we could play out Ether Vial this turn, and then next turn play out the Relic and hold Dispel up in case they have artifact removal. But if they go, they could go Faithless Looting, discard something, Serene Spirit Guide, get an Emrakul. So this is maybe the safer option. Also, the fact, if they just don't put anything massively threatening in the graveyard straight away, Relic just starts to chip away that graveyard a little bit easier, rather than just having to instantly pop it. So another Serum Visions. So they've drawn both cards they topped already. Top, bottom. There's a Swamp. Very important we don't miss any exiles off Relic. So they'll get rid of Tarn here, presumably. Okay, so now we'll play the Ether Vial. And hold up Dispel. Next turn we can hold up 2 Dispels. And start vialing stuff in. Third Serum Visions, so a lot of hand selection for them. I mean, the thing for them is that they kind of have to plan around the Relic and kind of almost sculpt 2 hands. Bottom top that time. The other thing as well, having vialing out the Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident kind of helps us in some ways, because it means it kind of slows them down by a turn, because they can't expertise. They can't target anything with Carry Zev's expertise. So they have to wait until a turn after we've vialed it in. So it's just slowing them down by a turn, which can be quite important against these decks. So I'm going to draw 2, discard 2. So they get rid of Goryos and a Spirit Guide. Continue to chip away at this graveyard. Always yield. Yep. And pass again. I mean, this does make it quite apparent that we're kind of playing with counter spells. I mean, if they have a Thoughtseize or something like that, that would be annoying, but we've got 2 Dispels to work with here and a Relic. So we're going to make them work for it. 3 mana. So flashback Faithless Looting. That's 1 more out of the graveyard for us. They're going to dump 2 more in there, but again, we'd kind of like to try and control this graveyard for as long as possible. If we can dispel something like a Goryo's, it just allows us to keep chipping away. Discarded 2 lands. Forbidden Orchid, Scalding Tarn. So now we get our Ether Vial up to 2. Pass the turn again. Again, we'll hold that Cavern up. This is a blue deck. They might have sideboard cards that could hit one of our Lords or a Vendilion Click at some point, so we'll see what they do. I fetch some stuff out. Very weird as a Merfolk player to have not played out a single Merfolk by turn 4. That's generally a bad sign. Play a Delta to defend another land. I'm going to pass. Yeah, I think they might have the combo in hand, but for them they kind of have to work with the assumption that they need to they basically need to have 2 hands, because it's very hard for them to get around Relic, or they're waiting for Artifact Destruction. No counter on Vial for now. So let's get in. Not going to Vial in the other one. Again, this deck plays Wraths. I'd like to try and put them in awkward spots as much as possible. The other reason is hopefully we could get them by making them use like a collective brutality, which would be annoying because they most likely make us get rid of this Dispel. So, go and name Wizard again because of Vendilion Click could be quite important to not get counterspelled. Opponent didn't fetch. I wonder what the reasoning for that is. If not just for wanting to fill up their graveyard, so it's hard for me to start relicking stuff. Question is, do we Violin something now? Because that means we attack for 6. I'm fairly certain this deck doesn't have instant speed removal. The downside is then if it died, we'd have nothing. I didn't use a Collective Brutality just yet. They could have a Wrath in hand, don't want to use it on the Lord. I think go one more turn and wait. There's also a good chance that we find another threat that we can play out. Mono Caverns over here. Let's get in for 2 again. Again, like basically if they've got a Wrath in hand, I don't want to make it an easy decision for them to use it. I forgot to relic something away last turn, did I? I think I might have. Opponent's also drawing a lot of lands, which is worth noting. So there's breaking. Emrakul goes into the graveyard, so they've got to shuffle away at instant speed. If this is a Goryo's, I'll dispel it. Because then this is going to shuffle everything back in. Which means they get like more stuff, more chance of drawing things. But again, this now allows us to control their graveyard up even more. Still don't want to. I mean, if I Vol something, it's a 2-turn clock. Yeah, I think now is the time to Violin. Because another Lord also puts them under a ton of pressure now. Still going to keep this on 2 because it's most likely one to hit. Spreading Seas. I'm going to do this now in case we find something. I'm going to hit a Black Source because it's what they have the least of. Stop them from hard casting Grizzlebrand, because who knows, they probably could. Curse Catcher is not a bad one. Actually, at this point it's a bit late. So I'm not going to play the Curse Catcher out, so we've got something to rebuild with. Like, this is lethal already. Playing the Curse Catcher out doesn't really do anything. I can't think of anything they can cast that we could feasibly Curse Catcher. So the main thing I'm watching out for now is a Through the Breach that with Counterspell backup. So Serum Visions. I think Curse Catcher would be handy in a situation like this, maybe, where they have to like Serum Visions, then Through the Breach. But they need to find something here. They need to have Through the Breach with Counterspell backup. I mean, Dispel would be the... Okay, yes, yeah, so there is Anger of the Gods. So they buy themselves some time. I went top with that, so... Let's get some Exiles. What I'd really like to find, because I imagine it's quite hard for this deck to deal with, is a Mutavault. Still not putting a counter on Vial. We've got no... The only freeze left, we've got a Vendilion Click. Well, might as well make it uncounterable. And then we can Vial in the Master at the end of turn. It's possible this gives them a good Collective Brutality target. through the breach. Well, I think we've got to go for Dispel. If they have a Dispel, then we're in trouble. Okay, so through the breach doesn't work. What this does tell us is that it's very likely that they have a Grizzlebrand or an Emrakul in hand. I'm going to play the Master out because this means if we draw a Lord, we win. Mutavault, one turn too late. So we just have to fade this turn, basically. We're going to play the Mutavault out in case we get Yeheni's Expertised or Mutavaulted. Or Mutavaulted or Anger of the Gods, because then Mutavault should be able to deal the last point damage. And this is the thing, that we're at the point as well that even if they get to haste in Emrakul, like Grizzlebrand, they can't activate Grizzlebrand. Even if they haste in Emrakul, like Annihilator 6, we just sacrifice like these two and some lands, and Mutavault can still attack in. In fact, we could sacrifice all lands, play the Cavern, and attack with Mutavault. Is this going to be hardcast Grizzlebrand? Oh, so no, this is Breaking Entering Fused. So, sacrifice Curse to counter, I guess? Yeah. Oh, it says Searing Spirit Guide. So, let's see what happens here. Okay, so with that trigger on the stack, we can exile. I guess they need... I don't know what their plan... Yeah, because basically, with this trigger on the stack, I believe we can respond with Relic. So they needed to hit... Oh no, do I need to hold priority, maybe? Okay, so now I'm going to exile the graveyard. So get rid of everything else. Oh, that was the perfect draw. And the reason I did that was literally because we could draw Harbinger. Oh, our opponent's going to be annoyed. I may have messed up that relic. I don't know if I can hold priority or ask for priority at some point. Are they not going to attack? Oh, I guess we... Oh no, that doesn't work, because we just give them Mutavault Island Walk. Yeah. Oh, let me drew another relic. But yeah, we just... Unless they have like some sort of weird thing that can kill the Mutavault, we just Island Walk over. Hey! Okay, well, that was a very weird, long, drawn-out game, but ends with a win, so I'm not going to complain. I may have to check if I need to do something on Magic Online specifically to respond to that Emrakul trigger. Because I feel like you can, because in the same way that the Emrakul trigger can be responded to with Goryo's Vengeance, it should be able to be responded to with Relic. So... Don't know if I just did something wrong there, or my understanding of the game is weaker than I thought. Because I feel like I should be able to respond to that trigger. Maybe I clicked through it, who knows. But yeah, we're back for more Merfolk at some point.